What's going on, y'all? I hope everybody out there is feeling fantastic. Now, before we get into this update, I'm pretty sure you guys are privy to what went down on the stand yesterday. They called Cassie's friend, Briana Bongalon, to the stand, and she got tripped up and things of that nature. But listen, this is the thing. I wanted to say this before we go any further. There's a lot of stunts being pulled outside of the Diddy trial. I have inside information of certain people who are covering the trial that are paying certain individuals to create a ruckus out there just to go viral. Also, let me implement this. If these certain individuals that I'm speaking on are not paying people to create chaos, they are actually working with one another, creator to creator, and they're actually concocting these skits and they're presenting it like it's real when it's all fake. Now, I'm not here to knock anyone who really doesn't care if it's real or fake and you're just here for the entertainment, but those of us who dwell at the core of realness, we don't care nothing about that shit. Now, with that said, I do want to give a shout out to Armand Wiggins. He's been doing a fantastic job covering this trial. He really has. He's been putting in the work. He's been honest. He's been fair. I have to give that brother props. He's running amok on everybody out there that's reporting on this particular story as far as someone that's coming from the platform of YouTube to cover the Diddy trial. What a fantastic job he's done. Now, another thing that was expressed to me is that the feds are looking into DJ Akademiks and Tasha K for exposing Mia, right? So we know that Mia's name was exposed and this is a federal trial. You can't be doxing individuals and things like that. Now, I didn't know that Tasha K had a hand in releasing information about Diddy's ex-assistant and exposing her, right? I thought it was DJ Akademiks. He's the one that went viral, but this is what I'm being told. And by the way, this is coming from credible media personnel that are on the grounds covering the Diddy trial, right? So with that said, I'm not here to convict Tasha and DJ Ak in the court of public opinion, and I'm not here to say anything terrible about those two, but I'm just reporting that I'm hearing that the two of them are under federal investigation for leaking Mia's real name. But anyway, I want to leave you guys with some updates as it pertains to what went down in the courtroom yesterday involving this Diddy trial. But before I go, I do want to say this, and what I'm about to say is applicable to me too. I have to get out of that mindset and hold myself accountable. Listen, I'm hearing so many things from reputable sources that are on the grounds covering this trial. And I told you guys, from what I'm hearing, there's mounting speculation that the jurors are just not buying some of these stories. They're not. And they're showing it visibly on their faces. And I just want to give some of them grace in this regard, that some of them are suffering from something as simple as stage fright. You could prepare the night before, remembering things, getting your story together, trying to have everything airtight before you enter that courtroom and go on that stand, and you could get up there and just completely lose focus. You could completely just lose it. You know, and it does not mean that they're lying. You are in a federal courtroom facing your alleged accuser, right? You have these high-powered lawyers in front of you. It's not easy to go up there and testify on that stand, right? So just because they don't remember a date, just because they're missing certain dates or they can't get their story right, some of them are actually telling the truth. They've been victimized by Diddy. They just failed to be able to articulate themselves on a big stage like that. Now, those of you who follow me tight, y'all know me. I don't believe every damn thing. I'm not that gullible, but I do believe that some of them are just nervous on the stand, and it's just as simple as that. So guys, I'm gonna leave you with these updates. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, consider subbing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Peace.
I just stepped out of court, and there is a juror in the Diddy trial that does not have a poker face, and her expressions say a lot. Things got off to a slow start this morning, with prosecutors calling Frank Piazza, who's a forensic audio and video editor, to the stand. Once again saw the 2016 hotel attack video, this time frame by frame, with Frank explaining any irregularities in the videos, for example, glitches or timestamp issues. Prosecutors, this is in part a way to get that video again in front of the jury. And then in a drawn-out cross-examination, we watched the video again, frame by frame, to the point where I couldn't help but wonder, was this a strategy by the defense to desensitize the jury by showing them this video repeatedly? Shortly before the lunch break, prosecutors call Briana Bongalon, who goes by Bana, who's a creative director and once a business partner of Cassie's. Told the court that Diddy allegedly hung her from the side of Cassie's apartment balcony that was on the 17th floor. Told the court that that incident left her with night terrors, paranoia, and till this day, she still screams in her sleep. Report that she met Cassie around 2015 when the two were working for the brand Diamond Supply Company, but said that she didn't meet Diddy until a year later because she was avoiding it. She saw the way he kept calling Cassie, and she once saw Cassie with a black eye. A good chunk of her testimony was spent on the she, Cassie, and their friend group used to do. Molly, Mary, GH, said that she and Cassie would hang out a lot and do stayed at Cassie's apartment. And then recalled 2 instances where she says Diddy burst into Cassie's apartment in a rage. One of those times she says that she was sleeping on the couch and Diddy burst through the door. Briana says she ran out to the balcony to get out of the way and act nonchalant. She says Diddy came onto the balcony screaming at her, saying, "You know what you effing did." That's when she says he picked her up and hung her over the balcony. Says she was using her feet to push back against the ledge. And then she says as Cassie rushed over with a look of disbelief, he tossed her into the balcony furniture. In court, prosecutors showed a picture of her leg that she says she took at the time with a fat bruise. Briana then says she went to the chiropractor, and there was another picture shown in court of her back with bandages all over and her in a neck brace. It was time for the cross-examination. Things got intense. Questioning Briana was Diddy's attorney, Nicole Westmoreland. Her voice booms into the microphone and commands the room, and she has a slight southern twang. Briana, on the other hand, was very soft-spoken. It was difficult to hear her at times. Westmoreland walks to the podium. Diddy whispers something into her ear, and then she smiles. Very early on, Westmoreland zeroes in on the one by one. How did Mary make you feel? How did make you feel? How did make you feel? Ever been in a K-hole? Turn to the jury and explain what a Cocoa Puff is, which apparently I learned is with a sprinkle. Westmoreland goes, "That was one of your faves, right? One of Cassie's faves?" Westmoreland then suggested it must have been difficult trying to get any work done when you guys were doing a weekly, if not daily basis. And then she dug in deeper to Cassie and Briana's relationship. Westmoreland was kind of teetering on the line of suggesting that it was romantic, but she never quite went there. And the reason I started to think that was because of her wording. For example, she wanted to say that Briana and Cassie started working together again, but she said, "You hooked back up in 2023. You got back together in 2023. And then prosecutors called a sidebar. By the way, when a sidebar is called so that we don't hear the conversations happening between the attorneys and the judge, they play a white noise machine. Westmoreland came back. She said, "You started talking with Cassie in 2023. You started working with Cassie in 2023, changing her wording and emphasizing those words. The rest of Westmoreland's questioning was from right before Cassie filed her lawsuit all the way until present day. And that's because Briana said on the stand today that she and Cassie are still close. In fact, Cassie texted her today. Briana says that she didn't answer. Celebrity stylist Deontay Nash also, she said, texted her today and she didn't answer. Testified that Cassie called her shortly before filing her bombshell lawsuit, and in fact included Briana in that lawsuit. And then Westmoreland said, "You talked to Cassie about filing a lawsuit, and then you went and got yourself some lawyers to sue Mr. Combs." To which Briana responded, "I got a lawyer to seek justice." And then Westmoreland said, "Seeking justice is suing Mr. Combs?" And I could see a juror in the second row just smirking. And that wasn't the only time. Throughout the cross-examination, I could see this juror making facial expressions. At one point, I saw her scoff, turn to the guy next to her, raise her eyebrows, and go. Another time, she makes eye contact with a juror in front of her, presses her lips, raises her eyebrows, and moves her head up. It looked like this. I'll go more in depth into the cross-examination in another video, so please stay tuned.
All right, so here was an update. You know that saying, whatever you say can and will be used against you in the court of law? Well, the theme of today's cross-examination of a woman named Bana, who accused Diddy of dangling her off a 17-foot balcony and saying that she had sold and provided to Cassie and also had a habit herself of using them. Well, the theme of today's cross was, if anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law, anything the government writes down in their notes can and will be used against the witnesses during their testimony. Every single time there was a discrepancy between what the witness was saying on the stand and what the government had written down as notes, you saw the credibility of the witness being chopped away bit by bit. This is also a moment when, for the very first time, really fundamentally in this case, these civil lawsuits became a kind of star witness for the defense. They were really keen on honing in on what was said in those suits, the timeline of whether you filed the lawsuit first or spoke to the government first. That became a running theme for this witness. And there was a moment when the cross really focused on the conversations between Cassie Ventura and the witness Bana about the dates of this alleged dangling of the balcony, about who was or was not there, also about the demand letter that was sent as a civil lawsuit to Diddy. So today, the defense making some headway trying to attack the credibility of this witness, but witnesses in general who were involved in the civil lawsuits. This might be a cautionary tale for some prosecution about how and what is written in the notes and what the witness then remembers specifically saying on the stand.
Okay, I literally just got out of court today from the Diddy trial. Now, Ray J's name was mentioned today in court. Court was lit today. Now, Nicole Westmoreland cross-examined Briana Bongalon. And while she was on the stand, Nicole asked, "Who dealt you and Cassie?" Briana goes, "I don't know," which there were a whole bunch of holes in her testimony. So Nicole Westmoreland says, "You don't know. Was Ray J one of the people who dealt you and Cassie?" When I tell you everybody was gagged today in court, everybody was gagging when Ray J's name was mentioned multiple times as one of the dealers who dealt Briana and Cassie. Crazy.